Hey guys, in this month's Historical Fiction 101, I'm going to be sharing with you books about pandemics. So that may sound a little depressing for some people. Some books historical fiction books that primarily focus on either a pandemic or a virus or a flu or something like that, if you will. Yeah, as we all know, the coronavirus has been going on practically all damn year, which has been pretty just, I don't even want to talk about it. So yeah, I was like, I'm going to do a Historical Fiction 101 video, just recommending some books about other plagues, other contagions, other pandemics, so you can kind of get like a if you're wanting to do more research, you know, if you're wanting to do more research about things like that happened in the past and how they can compare to now, how we've changed, like medically, how we handle things better nowadays compared to back in the day. So yeah, I managed to find 10 books that I'm going to share with you guys that have something to do with, like I said, contagion, viruses, the Black Death, plague, or whatever, flus, all that horrible stuff. So yeah, let's get going. And as always, to help me out with this video, I'm going to be looking down here at my computer so I can get through this video really quickly, you guys. Okay, so up first, I'm not sure technically if this would even be counted as historical fiction, to be quite honest, but I really felt the need to put this book on the list because it just, the whole book, this is what it's about, and you'll see as I read the plot summary to you. And this is actually a piece of classic literature. I'm not sure how many people have even read this piece. I actually had to read it for one of my college courses. We didn't read the whole thing, but we read like bits and pieces of it. So yeah, this is the Decameron by Giovanni Boccaccio, I think is how the last name is pronounced. Okay, and the Decameron was originally written in 1351, you guys, so kind of like right there at the heart of what would have been like the Black Death, I think, one of the plagues in Europe at the time. So yeah, originally written in 1351, so that's why I'm saying I don't think this is necessarily historical fiction, but still I felt the need to put it on this list. So the Decameron is an entertaining series of 100 stories written in the wake of the Black Death. The stories are told in a country villa outside the city of Florence by 10 young noble men and women who are seeking to escape the ravages of the plague. Boccaccio's skill as a dramatist is masterfully displayed in these vivid portraits of people from all stations in life, with plots that revel in a bewildering variety of human reactions. And yeah, like I said, because yeah, this was what, 100 stories? This was 100 little short stories in this book. So of course when I read it, we read just like maybe a handful of stories from it. And I remember really liking this book. It was very entertaining, very interesting, and I liked the premise of it. So yeah, if you have any interest in something like that, you might want to pick this book up. And next up, this is another classic, and I think you can consider this historical fiction. You can tell me, this is The Mask of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. And the reason why I think this could be historical fiction, even though Poe wrote this in the 1800s, what does it say, 1842. He wrote this in 1842, but whenever I have read The Mask of the Red Death, I've always kind of gotten the vibe that it takes place in maybe the 1500s or the 1600s. So yeah, that would definitely make it historical fiction. So I'm going to consider it historical fiction. And yeah, who has not read The Mask of the Red Death? I feel like The Mask of the Red Death is one of those books that when you're in high school, you tend to read it for your American literature class. So yeah, the Mask of the Red Death. The story follows Prince Prospero's attempts to avoid a dangerous plague known as the Red Death by hiding in his abbey. He, along with many other wealthy nobles, has a masquerade ball within 7 rooms of his abbey, each decorated with a different color. In the midst of their revelry, a mysterious figure disguised as a Red Death victim enters and makes his way through each of the room. And yeah, it's Poe, you guys. It's Poe. It's creepy. It's atmospheric. It's weird, but it's awesome. So yeah, I definitely kind of consider this a bit of historical fiction, you know, about a plague of some sort. Okay, so getting from the classics there, let's go into Year of Wonders by Geraldine Brooks. When an infected bolt of cloth carries plague from London to an isolated village, a housemaid named Anna Frith emerges as an unlikely heroine and healer. Through Anna's eyes, we follow the story of the fateful year of 1666, as she and her fellow villagers confront the spread of disease and superstition. As death reaches into every household and villagers turn from prayers to murderous witch hunting, Anna must find the strength to confront the disintegration of her community and the lure of illicit love. As she struggles to survive and grow, a year of catastrophe becomes instead a year of wonders. Oh, this sounds good. Guys, this sounds so good. I definitely gotta get this book. Next up, this is like a middle grade book, if I'm not mistaken. This is Fever 1793 by Laurie Halse Anderson. It's late summer 1793, and the streets of Philadelphia are abuzz with mosquitoes and rumors of fever. Down near the docks, many have taken ill, and the fatalities are mounting. Now they include Polly, the serving girl at the Cook Coffee House. But 14-year-old Maddie Cook doesn't get a moment to mourn the passing of her childhood playmate. New customers have overrun her family's coffee shop, located far from the mosquito-infested river, and Maddie's concerns of fever are all but overshadowed by dreams of growing her family's small business into a thriving enterprise. But when the fever begins to strike closer to home, Maddie's struggle to build a new life must give way to a new fight, the fight to stay alive. Oh, sounds good too. Next up, The Last Hours by Minette Walters, and this actually says that it's book 1 in the Black Death series. Oh man, what a series title, The Black Death. When the Black Death enters England through the port in Dorsetshire in June 1348, no one knows what manner of sickness it is or how it spreads and kills so quickly. The church cites God as the cause, and fear grips the people as they come to believe that the plague is a punishment for wickedness. But Lady Anne of Delverush has her own ideas. Educated by nuns, Anne is a rarity among women, being both literate and knowledgeable. With her brutal husband absent from the manor, when news of this pestilence reaches her, she looks for more sensible ways to protect her people than daily confessions of sin. She decides to bring her serfs inside the safety of the moat that surrounds her manor house, then refuses entry to anyone else, even her husband. Lady Anne makes an enemy of her daughter and her husband's steward by doing so, but her resolve is strengthened by the support of her leading serfs. Until food stocks run low, the nerves of all are tested by continued confinement and ignorance of what is happening in the world outside. The people of Delverush are alive, but for how long? And what will they discover when the time comes for them to cross the moat again? Ah, so interesting. I've heard of this series before, but I've never picked it up before. Next up, The Thieftaker by C.S. Quinn, and this says that it's book 1 in the Thieftaker series. So, the year is 1665. Black Death ravages London, a killer stalks the streets in a plague doctor's hood and mask. When a girl is gruesomely murdered, thief-taker Charlie Tuesday reluctantly agrees to take on the case, but the horrific remains tell him this is no isolated death. The killer's mad appetites are part of a master plan that could destroy London and reveal the dark secrets of Charlie's own past. Now the thief-taker must find his murderous mastermind before the plague obliterates the evidence street by street. This terrifying pursuit will take Charlie deep into the black underbelly of old London, where alchemy, witchcraft, and blood spells collide. Oh my god, this sounds awesome, you guys. I like that idea of this murder investigation going on amidst a plague, and yeah, you're kind of running out of time because, yeah, it's going to wipe away, like, evidence, you know. Next up, this is a young adult book. This is In the Shadow of Blackbirds by Kat Winters. In 1918, the world seems on the verge of apocalypse. Americans roam the streets in gauze masks to ward off the deadly Spanish influenza, and the government ships young men to the front lines of a brutal war, creating an atmosphere of fear and confusion. 16-year-old Mary Shelley Black watches as desperate mourners flock to seances and spirit photographers for comfort, but she herself has never believed in ghosts. During her bleakest moment, however, she's forced to rethink her entire way of looking at life and death. For her first love, a boy who died in battle, returns in spirit form, but what does he want from her? Oh, that sounds really good. It's like you got the Spanish influenza going on and a bit of some supernatural stuff going on as well. That's cool. Next up, this is a book that I have read. This is As Bright as Heaven by Susan Meisner. It's 1918. Philadelphia was a city teeming with promise, even as its young men went off to fight in the Great War. There were opportunities for a fresh start on its cobblestone streets. Into this bustling town came Pauline Bright and her husband, filled with hope that they could now give their three daughters, Evelyn, Maggie, and Willa, a chance at a better life. But just months after they arrive, the Spanish flu reaches the shores of America. As the pandemic claims more than 12,000 victims in their adopted city, they find their lives left with a world that looks nothing like the one they knew. But even as they lose loved ones, they take in a baby orphaned by the disease, who becomes their single source of hope. Amidst the tragedy and challenges, they learn what they cannot live without and what they are willing to do about it. This was a good book, you guys. I won it through a Goodreads giveaway, actually. It was very, very good, very sad, very compelling. Next up, The Pool of the Stars by Emma Donoghue, and this is a book that was just very recently released. Let's see, what does it say here? In an Ireland doubly ravaged by war and disease, nurse Julia Power works at an understaffed hospital in the city center, where expectant mothers who have come down with the terrible new flu are quarantined together. Yeah, it takes place in 1918, if I didn't say it. It does take place in Dublin, 1918. Into Julia's regimented world steps two outsiders, Dr. Kathleen Lynn, on the run from the police, and a young volunteer helper, Bridie Sweeney. In the darkness and intensity of this tiny ward over 3 days, these women change each other's lives in unexpected ways. They lose patience to this baffling pandemic, but they also shepherd new life into a fearful world. With tireless tenderness and humanity, carers and mothers alike somehow do their impossible work. Oh, that sounds really good, you guys. And the last book that I have here is Company of Liars by Karen Maitland. And you guys, if you're a literature major like me, this is going to be like right up your alley, I think, because this is a reinterpretation of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, and I love the Canterbury Tales, you guys, and I've never really seen anybody like do a reimagining of the Canterbury Tales. So yeah, that sounds so awesome. So yeah, what is it actually about? The year is 1348. The Black Plague grips the country. In a world ruled by faith and fear, 9 desperate strangers, brought together by chance, attempt to outrun the certain death that is running inexorably toward them. Each member of this motley company has a story to tell, from Camelot, the relic seller who will become the group's leader, to Cygnus, the one-armed storyteller, from the strange silent child called Nerigorm, to a painter and his pregnant wife. Each has a secret. None is what they seem, and one among them conceals the darkest secret of all, propelling these liars to a destiny they never saw coming. Oh my god, that sounds awesome. Sounds like a twisted, maybe more dark version of the Canterbury Tales, perhaps. So you guys, that is it for this month's Historical Fiction 101, dedicated to disease. How fun and how joyous. We need some levity in the world right now, you guys. So, you guys, any books that I have left out? Are there some books that you guys have read that take place during like the Spanish flu or during the Black Death, or you know, something like that? Anything with disease. Just let me know what other books I could have included on this list. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.